Welcome to another weekly episode of Marked Out Radio. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we have had quite a busy week on the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook, haven't we?
Oh, the group is on fire. I think my fingers are still on fire from all the typing I've been doing all week.
I was teasing you that you've made a lot of new best friends. Your DMs, I mean, you are like a prom queen right now with the number of DMs that you're getting all the time.
Yeah. I legit, I've needed to sit down and take an hour to go through my DMs. Luckily, today it's a little more manageable. But that first day when the nuclear bomb dropped, I was scrolling it was a lot. I've never been this popular in my life.
My favorite part of this is that you receive 100% of the DMs. I don't get any, and which I actually love because I just don't. I don't even know. I don't have all the bandwidth to respond to all these personal DMs. You seem to juggle all of these conversations very well. I have a tendency when I see messages coming in from people I don't know, I'm like, and I kind of head for Z Hills. So it's pretty funny, the sheer volume of communication that you've had. And granted, now I have to deal with all of it also because you screenshot a lot of it and send it to me, especially on Marked Out Business. We commiserate and collaborate on pretty much all of it. So it is pretty funny though.
Yeah.
So we did promise that we would cover some of the reports from WrestleMania and Wrestlecon and Chiller Theater that we weren't able to get to last week. So let's do it. So I guess we're gonna do Mania first.
Let's start with Mania.
All right, go for it.
Okay, Vinny went to WrestleMania, and his main reason for going was Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I would say is about as good of a reason as exists.
And then honestly, that story was repeated by lots of different people. Stone Cold was a huge draw for people for WrestleMania World this year.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you had WrestleMania in his backyard, you get back to see his cats, I mean, that's pretty appealing for him. So definitely a good reason to take advantage of it. He had a lot of great photos, a lot of great stories, but the thing I found the most interesting was his little tidbit about Sheamus. Sheamus was very nice and was taking photos on the autograph line for the first 40 plus minutes until the Fanatics guy came out and reprimanded him, saying he's only supposed to sign. Then he had to get through his whole line in 15 minutes. He ignored and took another photo, and then he basically got reprimanded again, which was two people in front of me. Vinny had 3 items and 2 pen switches to worry about, so he didn't push for the photo up. But he did make a comment about him being in trouble. And Sheamus said, all because I want to take pictures. I like taking pictures with fans. Which is kind of a cool and refreshing thing to hear when you see a lot of the different stuff about the negative, attitudes certain celebrities have. And it's cool to see that Sheamus actually wants to go above and beyond. Yeah,
Sheamus has always been a good dude. I remember we got him in public 100 years ago. And then we also got him at a paid signing too. He's always been super nice. I mean, clearly super grateful for the life that he's had for the past couple decades. So Sheamus is awesome. Love that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we had another WrestleMania report from Rob Maletta. He had some really, really cool autographs, but the one that jumped out at me was his 2011 Money in the Bank ticket stub signed by Punk and Cena. I'm not really a ticket stub collector, but I must admit when I look at them, they're really nice looking. They're cool pieces. It's just I don't need another rabbit hole to jump down.
Ticket stubs are cool in that they sort of scratch that retro itch, and at the same time they're sort of a very interesting snapshot in time. The idea that this is evidence. This is real concrete proof of one's presence at an event, or if it's an unused ticket stub, one's lack of presence. But there's something very cool about them. I have friends who collect a couple of my friends actually, they kept all their concert ticket stubs from the 90s and everything. They have hundreds of ticket stubs. I never did that. I was the one who would throw it out the minute that it was torn kind of person. And in retrospect, I do regret some of that because it's really cool. You can see there's so many pieces, the price, the times, the cities, the opening bands are listed on there sometimes if it's music. And for wrestling, that's really, it's funny. I have, when I bought off Jimmy Hart's son, a lot of Jimmy Hart's stuff, and that's where I have that Hulk Hogan ring used wristband. But I also, there was in there like a random ticket stub from a house show, and it's just, I don't know, there's something about it that was just cool. Anyway, they're interesting, and to have that 2011 Money in the Bank,
that's honestly of that era. I think that's like one of the more like iconic like matches, moments, events. Like you never forget that. It's like completely epic. All right, keeping on with the WrestleMania tradition, friend of the show, C-Rat, shared a glimpse into his day one of WrestleMania. And he was there, of course, with his son Finn, and they really got some great photo ops. And what he pointed out, which was very interesting, was that he noticed a noticeable improvement in how they kept groupings. Group 2 was in one line, Group 3 in another line. It was less like mass chaos, like we saw at Fanatics Fest. Autos, for the most part, were decent, much better signage and help from the staff. They were long, but they did their best to keep the lines in place and keep them orderly. And also, it was great to see. I saw Sean and Finn at a wedding last weekend, and he shared some not for the air Mania stories that were really, he's always having great experiences, and this was really no different.
Yeah, it seemed like from the pictures they had a great time. They definitely spent a lot of money. I know that belt was not cheap
no.
that he bought, but it looks great. Very cool stuff.
Okay, and then switching gears from Mania, we are going back to our man on the street, Vinny, who went to Chiller. He was able to go to Chiller because he wasn't a part of a big wedding like I was. I missed Chiller. Anyway, he saw Michael Madsen, or at least I think that was Michael Madsen. The poor guy has seen better days. He came late around 12 p.m. in a wheelchair, but at least he smiled and was pleasant in the photo. His autograph is absolute dog shit. And Vinny was glad he got him TTM, or through the mail for the people that don't know the acronym, in 2020. He heard there were horror stories from people later in the day who claimed he was drunk and incoherent. So, you have any regret? I know you're kind of weird about like how people look. Would you have wanted Michael Madsen if you walked in and saw him looking like that?
I am not like a particularly ardent fan of Michael Madsen to begin with. I mean, I don't dislike him. It's just not there's nothing particular that I'm a fan of his work in any way. But he's a recognizable face. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I mean, he was a recognizable face. There's a reason why. It's funny because I remember he had canceled shows in the past, and there was a reputation that kind of followed him. And I was, so I seeing the pictures, Michael has seen better days, I think, is being kind. He looks rough. So I on one level you feel bad, but on the other level, if this is what he has to do to make some money, then God bless.
But listen, Madsen, I think you got one more show in you. One more. Somewhere I'm going to be, preferably. Also, Vinny saw Geraldo Rivera. He was extremely nice. Very happy to be there. His first convention of any kind, and I think he did very good business. He's kind of a punchline, but he's been around forever, and he has so many historical photos with John Lennon, Trump, Seinfeld, and more.
Yeah, Geraldo's a pretty important pop culture figure from the early 90s.
He's one I would have grabbed.
Absolutely. He's a very recognizable face, Yeah,
I can't say I'm a fan of Geraldo. I didn't have like Geraldo posters on the wall as a child. But I mean, like you said, he's recognizable. I think he's one of those guys, sort of like on a Walter Cronkite kind of level, that when he's dead and buried, you're going to like remember him. He's definitely a name that's going to live on.
Yeah, he was. His face was around him for some reason. He was especially in the New York area. He was kind of a well-known media personality. And I like, honestly, one of the reasons why Chiller is such a cool show is because they bring out guests like that. He's never done a con. He's an interesting media personality. I think a guest like that is very cool. And it's my understanding he did pretty well. So maybe we'll see Geraldo again and again and again until he drives into the ground and no one wants to see him anymore. Or maybe it was a one and done kind of deal. You never really know. But those things are always intriguing to me.
Yeah. But yes, as always, thank you to everyone, whether you are a first-time reporter or a regular reporter. We appreciate it because, I mean, listen, Sean's busy selling his collection. I'm busy being Serpico, trying to shut down scam artists. I mean, we can't be everywhere. So it's important that, we see some different stuff, and you guys always share the great reports.
So there's some news. There's a lot of news, actually, this week. As far as the upcoming cons, Fanatics Fest has huge names that were added. I mean, A-Rod and Albert Pujols are now doing autographs and photo ops, and they're very expensive. But these are guys that are huge names. Are you tempted on either one?
I have A-Rod, so I don't need A-Rod.
Was that a serious deal, or
what do you mean?
You got him from Sirius, or where'd you get him from?
Oh no, I got him at a baseball show in Jersey years ago. That I went to it for Richard Dreyfuss, and then I got A-Rod while I was there. Pujols, I don't even think he's that much. His photo is like 2 and change. That's reasonable, but he's Saturday. I don't want to go. I'm not going to go on Saturday, especially since I may have already added a second day of my Fanatics Fest for this next name.
Yeah. So, SWAU, Star Wars Autograph Universe, has added Kevin Costner to Fanatics. And now, just to be clear, he will not be signing autographs in public at the show. SWAU will be doing a private signing at the show, and you could do mail-in through them. In fairness, I've done one mail-in with them. I did the Robert Downey Jr. mail-in with them many moons ago. But my item turned out good. But just be aware that there have been customer service concerns with SWAU. Not that they deliver on what they're supposed to deliver on, but there's things like quality control with pens and quality control with shipping and things that have been reported in the past. So I just want to, for people to know that, so they don't just dive in thinking that SWAU is as rock solid as like Twin Cities Comics or I'm trying to think of another rock solid, Dark Parlor, or one of those companies that is super rock solid when it comes to, or frankly, or American Icons, quite frankly, for mail-ins. So they're legit, but they don't always handle pens and items with the greatest care. So just hopefully with a name like Fanatics, with Costner they will. But I saw returns from like Natalie Portman and kind of big name signings that just were not acceptable. So, but Costner is doing photo ops with the public. So you're going to do this.
I'm giving, if I can get a ticket, which at this point I've honestly been stressing about this ever since this was announced, because some of the Fanatics Fest stuff sells out so quick. But yes, if I'm able to get my hands on one of these ever so reasonable $400 photo op tickets, I will be taking a day off from work, which, as I've explained, because I'm sure everyone's so very concerned about my work schedule, but taking off in the summer is costly for me, and I don't like doing it. But it's Costner, and he's an A-lister. He's in a lot of stuff I really like, and if I can get a ticket, I will be there on Friday.
Yeah, I'm not tempted. I thought about
baffles me. It blows my mind.
I'm not tempted. I mean, listen, I don't know if anyone wants to hear my diatribe about Costner, but Costner's never been in anything that I liked. I think he's kind of lame, kind of boring. I mean, Dances of the Wolves was bad. So the Field of Dreams was bad.
Stop.
I do. I think those are they're just cheese to the max. That's not the kind of film that I like. And his his performances don't really knock me out. But yeah, I guess he's a huge name, I guess. So
while you guys are listening to this on Monday at some point, you'll be wondering, I guess, how the hell I made out as far as getting my Costner ticket. I'm sure I'll make some post somewhere about it, either happy or just upset.
I'm still, as of right now, not attending Fanatics because nothing that I wanted to buy. I had my Sunday ticket, and nothing I wanted to buy was available by the time I made it through the queue. So I'm still hoping and waiting for them to open up new slots. But if they don't, they don't. And that's a lesson learned, that I won't pre-order a ticket before securing the actual items.
If John Elway doesn't kill anybody, you could, again, if he doesn't kill anyone else, you could always go for him.
I don't know. I'm too aggravated by it. If I'm being honest, I'm aggravated. I am. It's ridiculous that they sold out. But you know what? That means they're doing something right. So I can't even begrudge. It's just annoying because I'm annoyed at myself because I should know better. I should know better to not pre-order that. There was no reason to pre-order the Sunday entry. It wasn't like Sunday entry selling out. It was just dumb. It's a bad decision. But here we are. Also, it's funny. We were speculating about Fan Expo Boston having a Supernatural reunion, and then Rhode Island Comic Con went and added Misha Collins. We didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, they had their Supernatural week, and they went and dropped Misha Collins on Wednesday. And I know I texted you that I'm like, if they're dropping Misha on Wednesday, they're not going to go to like, some small time cast members for Thursday and Friday. Typically, these announcements, usually you close the week off with the biggest one, but they kind of did. They went with the blanking on her name, but she was the girl in the new Ghostbusters, and she's also in Supernatural. I got her already at a Monster Mania.
Oh, I don't know. I know they have Robert Fuller. They also added, right? So
who I didn't get at NYCC, so I actually may do a do-over and get him here. I
love Robert Fuller. I think he's great. He's really funny. He's an amazing villain. I love him as an actor. I think he's awesome. He was a lot of fun to meet at NYCC. He's a tall dude. So that's a cool thing. I mean, I don't need him, but he's a cool ad for me.
And you said you're skipping Misha if this is not going to be a trio photo op with the boys.
I mean, so Misha's was my least favorite character on the show, and so I always thought the whole stoic angel shtick was just tired. It was tiring. And so I never really got into it. And so yeah, I mean, by himself, he holds no value for me. I did I had this whole idea that I would never get any of them until if I didn't get the whole group. So, but I folded. And I got Jared at Rhode Island.
You folded.
I don't think I'll ever see Jensen at this rate. I mean, or if I finally do at some point, he'll look nothing like Jensen, which is a whole other issue. But I'm still waiting for Jensen to get booked at something besides the ridiculousness of creation.
He might look like Michael Madsen by the time you see him. That's even cooler.
Yeah, right. And then, in a very depressing turn of events, Steel City Con announced two people who I really, really, really want to see. I can't remember. Did we talk about Amy Smart previously or no? I don't think we did. No. So Amy Smart is someone who I've been waiting for to show up at cons for years, because she is in one of my favorite movies. It's a Bob Gale movie. It was supposed to be released in the fall of 2001. It was or winter of 2001. It was one of those movies whose theatrical release was canceled due to 9/11. It's a direct-to-DVD movie. It was called Interstate 60. I really love it. It's a phenomenal cast. It was directed by Bob Gale, and it's Christopher Lloyd. It's Gary Oldman. It's James Marsden. It's Amy Smart. It's Michael J. Fox. There's a cameo in there by Chris Cooper, who I freaking love, who also needs to do a con at some point. Anne Margaret's in it. The Pink Power Ranger, what's her name?
I'm not a Power Ranger guy at all.
No, but she's in all these cons.
I just know the dead one. That's all I know.
No, the Pink Power Ranger. I can't remember her name. But she was in it. It's such a great movie, and it's like one of those movies that I found by accident with a rent one get one free at a Blockbuster. And I've loved her for years, and I have a cast poster that I've been chipping away at over the years. I got Michael J. Fox, I got Gary Oldman, I got Christopher Lloyd, obviously. I got a couple of I got Anne Margaret back when she was a Chiller. I got a couple minor people who were background actors, cameo appearances. I really have been looking forward to James Marsden and Amy Smart. Those are the two who I really need on this poster. And Amy Smart's going to Steel City Con in just outside of Pittsburgh. And this one hurts because there's a very good chance, not 100%, there's a very good chance that I will not be able to make Steel City. And it even was compounded when you sent me the link that it looks like, we can't confirm, but it looks like Steel City might be trying a Jurassic Park reunion.
Yeah, if you are on the family vacation, Clark Griswold style, and they actually do pull a trigger on a Jurassic Park reunion, I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably nothing. I'm not making that drive alone, and I don't really feel like getting divorced right now, which is what would happen if I took my wife on a road trip to Steel City. Like that she would not be happy. So I don't know. I'd probably look up flights to Pittsburgh. I would not be happy with what I found, and I would close the tab, and I would miss the Jurassic Park reunion. That's what would really happen. But I mean, I'll lie to myself and the listeners and say that there's a chance if they had Sam Neill and everything that I would do it.
Yeah. So right now they've only added Ariana Richards, who plays Lexi in the original Jurassic Park, but the actor who plays her little brother did a con or is imminently doing one. I don't even know if that con in Florida happened yet.
Yeah, I feel like the brother and the little girl, since she's already there, I think that'll happen. I don't know if they're gonna really get to the adults. Like, it's possible, but I mean, I wouldn't be holding my breath for that.
Actually, I believe that con, I think the one with the brother already happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen it posted a while ago, so I imagine it did.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully they add the rest, and hopefully my vacation winds up being a different day. It's very stressful. I'm not going to pretend that it's not. I really hope, because if even Lexi from Jurassic Park, that'll probably convince me to start a Jurassic Park project, even though it's crazy because Sam Neill is more or less never. It's very rare that he's in the U.S. Laura Dern is around, and if I were, had enough desire to, I could get her. And same with Goldblum. Goldblum's around enough that you can get him. But the kids are hard, and yeah, I would really love a Jurassic Park reunion, just not at Steel City. Maybe NYCC can like copy that and do it or something. That would be ideal.
Don't worry.
Right? And I honestly, Rhode Island. I'd love Rhode Island to do it. Yeah, Rhode Island.
They've been copying everybody, so they could do that.
So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. If you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, please reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Also, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and leave a rating or review. You can leave a rating and or a review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a rating on Spotify, or you can leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment on YouTube. We value all engagement. And it's actually pretty funny because we got some kind of mean YouTube comments last week, which I suspect is coming from someone who does not like us very much anymore. What's really funny, going into the main topic, so we promised that we would talk about the forgery stuff more this week, and we knew it was going to cause some waves. I don't think either of us really predicted how people were going to react, and I think even the people who we told that we were going to be doing this didn't predict how people were going to react. Before we get into the details of it, what is your reaction? It's like meta reaction. What is your reaction to the reaction that our show got last week?
I knew the subject of this deep dive was going to be upset. I knew that, because that's just, that's sort of just, I guess that's a human reaction. That's also the way he sort of responds to things in general. He flips out. He types messages with his toes by the fact that like nothing's spelled correctly. I'm hoping he's typing with his toes. And he just goes crazy. So I expected that. But I didn't really expect the outpouring of just support. And like, I know there's a lot of people out there that are like angry with us, but they weren't in my DMs, or maybe they were in my DMs saying one thing and someone else's DM saying another. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that. But it was a lot of just prominent promoters, fans and collectors I've never heard of, longtime friends and collectors. Some people already knew the suspicions about, who we're talking about today. Other people had their eyes opened. It was interesting. I did not expect to have DM response as a full-time job this week. So I was definitely blown away by the magnitude of it. How about you?
So we had two topics last week. So the China one, where we know that certain Facebook Live vendors were buying stock from eBay via China, and we were pretty confident that those were counterfeit certification stickers on those, and were obviously counterfeit autographs, and they were selling them, and that kind of didn't make as big of an impact, I guess, because pretty much we all knew what was happening. There were a couple of interesting. There were a couple of interesting people. There were names that were called out. Some people were embarrassed. I will say this: a couple of people
that their fingerprints were on the China stuff, and they didn't get called out by us or anyone else, but they did message me. We talked about it. They showed sort of an understanding of the mistake that was made, and they've made like a resolution to avoid those sources going forward.
There were also people who went back to their old post histories and went and started deleting posts. So that we don't have evidence that they were selling those things on Facebook. And yes, we saw that, but since we don't have evidence, we're not going to say it. But it's unfortunate that our fingers were not fast enough with the screen grabs, but we did see.
So listen, here's at least like just a touch on this stuff. Like there was some voices and some people that I think wanted, like, this vendor jaywalked in 2004. Let's call them out. Like, we were not aiming to call out every little transgression or every even medium-sized transgression. The goal has always been to sort of change the culture, to just sort of change the head in the sand attitude that even we had for a little while there, where we didn't really want to call out and point out and rock the boat. And that's the point. Like the person that you mentioned that deleted the evidence, like, okay, you deleted the evidence. We didn't call you out on the group. Someone else didn't call you out on the group. If you stop doing that and you only sell things that are legitimate and you're not ripping people off accidentally or knowingly, either way, like that's fine. Mission accomplished. I'm not doing this to have 50 DMs a day to respond to. I'd actually would rather not. So that right there is a win. So, it's just funny to see grown men operate like that.
Yeah, I think what we're going to start seeing, though, is that at least in our corner of the internet, which are the wrestling groups mostly, people are a little bit more aware of what they're looking at, of understanding that you're not buying a sticker, you're buying an autograph, and you should be, posting an autograph if you see something for sale. Look, I think what the truth of it is, the era of the steal is over. Okay, unless you are an expert, you shouldn't. And I think this is a fundamentally true thing. Maybe this is controversial because I saw a few people comment this on Facebook that, well, if you are unsure of something and you post it and ask for people's verification, then someone else is going to snatch it from you. And I think that is true. But I think the truth of the matter is only experts should have access to steals, so to speak. If you are not an expert, if you're a noob, for lack of a better word, you shouldn't be going for steals because you really can't tell the difference. You're really not experienced enough to tell the difference. And so if you can tell the difference, great. Jump on the steals when they come up. But if you can't, educate yourself so that you can confidently jump on the steals. But there is no, I don't think, sort of right to have the best, to buy for the best price if you are an ignoramus on what a quality autograph looks like. One of the more interesting things that came out of it is there were the people who were like, we can't tell these are bad. And that's fascinating to me because they plainly look different. I don't just mean slight variations. There are always slight variations in signatures. Hell, at my day job, I signed my name 3 different ways, consecutively, but there are patterns to how we sign. And there are also patterns to how we don't. The slant, the right and left-handedness, all these different things. And so when you see something that's just obviously bad, I do not proclaim myself to be an expert at nearly anything on earth. And to me, it's just so transparently obvious when some of these fakes are shown. Not all of them. I think some of them are really scarily accurate. I think we talked about it last week, but I showed you a China Hogan that looked so close to an original that I genuinely don't know how I would determine that it was a fake, but for the fact that it was being sold by the eBay account that I know doesn't sell anything legitimate, which is a little bit scary. But I think that the largest point we can make here is the situation has to make sense. And so buy accordingly, buy the autograph. You're not buying a sticker, for crying out loud, nor are you buying the trust you have in a vendor. I think a lot of the vendor culture, this is something that I make fun of. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this now. I make fun of it off air all the time. There's this culture of like weird fake friendship among a lot of these people where it's like, well, I trust so-and-so. I only shop with so-and-so. He's my bro or whatever, as if there's just some weird, it's almost like a parasocial relationship. I don't really know. And maybe I'm the weird one for not forming those relationships with like people I buy stuff from. Like, I don't know. I don't go to the store and be like, oh, yo, I'm going to you're my bro. I'm gonna buy from you. I don't really think like that.
You don't have a
That's
favorite cashier at the
I
supermarket?
don't. And no, but I mean, I'm poking fun, but I truly don't think that way. That's not how I think. I mean, there are certain people I trust, but not. I don't trust vendors. I trust first party people. So I know I'll trust American Icons to get my WrestleMania 14 jacket signed by Stone Cold Steve Austin because I know they're the ones conducting the signing, right?
Yeah.
I'll that if someone I know is bringing the talent in, then and I know who they are and I know they have a real business, then I'll trust that they're doing that. But I don't. If someone is buying bulk, I'm not trusting them. I mean, why would I? I would look at the item and make a determination. So anyway,
that's
one of those
reality.
things, though.
And I'm sure I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, and I know there's exceptions, so I'm going to throw that out there. There are exceptions, and I won't actually get into the exceptions, but I'm sure there's exceptions out there. As a general rule, there's three types of merchants out there. You have vendors, you have promoters, and you have resellers. I don't want to go into a whole wormhole right now of explaining all three, but a reseller, by my definition, and I've talked to other vendors about this, a reseller is someone that is not necessarily a first-party source. They are on eBay. They are on Pristine. They are on people's DMs buying bulk. Like, not even bulk like we do, that we're in the room and we're doing it ourselves. Like, after the fact, like, just mail me your best 58 by 10s, and I'll open the box and I have them. I inherently don't trust resellers because ultimately you're trusting someone's eye. You're trusting that someone's eye is more important than their greed, because you could have the best eye in the world if you don't care to use it because you want to make money and you see a good deal. Like there's resellers out there that was selling things from China that I don't think they were fooled. Like I don't think I've spoken to them enough. I know they're not unintelligent to that level. If you're buying a Tom Hanks autograph for $30 from China, like, you know what you're doing. You just didn't think you were going to get caught because it checks all the boxes. It's got stickers. How can I know? I have plausible deniability. So as a general rule, are there resellers I trust more than others? Sure. Do I ever buy from a reseller? Would I buy a rare piece from a reseller? Would I buy stock from a reseller? Absolutely not. I don't. I never will. Do I look down on resellers as like equals to like a Ken or a High Spots or someone that's doing real firsthand stuff? Yes. I don't see them the same.
What struck me as really funny is when one of the people, and we'll get to this in a second, and one of the people who was complaining that we were calling him out said, well, you buy autographs, you acquire autographs the same way that I do. I've seen you buy bulks. And that's really curious because we have discussed this. We absolutely do not ever buy things that we didn't see get signed. In fact, I can say very confidently there's only one instance where something under the Marked Out Collectibles banner. No, I'm sorry, there were two instances where something sold under the Marked Out Collectibles banner was signed when one of our representatives was not in the room. One of them was by High Spots directly, where High Spots acted as our proxy and was there in the room and got stuff signed. And High Spots, I think, where we have mentioned multiple times that we trust. And the other was when items were mailed to Miko Hughes' house, right?
Yes.
And that's it. And Miko Hughes took pictures of himself holding our stuff, selfies. So that was it. Other than that, the stuff that we're getting signed under Marked Out Collectibles banner, you're in the room, I'm in the room, both of us is in the room, or some other proxy of ours is in the room who we know very well. Would you say that's true?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the reality. I think you even addressing that is like the person making those claims, and I'll say the name, Richie of GTG. He's like, a couple wires are crossed in his brain. That's just the reality. Like, apparently I offended Barry Horowitz, which is I think you point out, like, the funniest part of this whole thing. Because first of all, I mean, I think it's obvious that that's not actually Barry Horowitz's Facebook page. Barry Horowitz is not, dealing in autograph sales on a Credit Kings Facebook group. Like, and even if he was, I said nothing about Barry Horowitz. What would I say about Barry Horowitz? That your
what's funny?
Pat on the back was stupid. Like, what can I say about Barry Horowitz? Like,
I have a very strange Barry Horowitz connection. which I've never told you about. So when I was a senior in college, I was in some like journalism elective, and we had to do like part of the assignment was to do a little bit of guerrilla journalism. And of course, because I was a very immature 22-year-old, I wanted to do something with wrestling. And so I actually sent a bunch of emails out. Now, keep in mind, this is 2002, 2001, 2002, like that. Yeah, it was the spring, so it was '02. And I emailed a bunch of wrestlers and asked if I could either email them questions for this. It was the whole concept of it was, what do wrestlers do? What do their lives look like after they retire? I was writing this story, and I reached out to a bunch. I was like Axel Rotten was one of them, and even though he hadn't, I don't think he probably was still working, but he was.
Did he mention that he was going to break your camera in the future?
No, it's funny. Yeah. But anyway, but one of them was Barry Horowitz, and Barry Horowitz was the only, King Kong Bundy was one of them. Barry Horowitz was the only one who got on the phone with me. And I had like a really nice, really awesome 30-minute conversation with Barry Horowitz about what it was like to kind of fade into the background and still want to get booked, but not really have any interest anymore. And it was like, he was a really nice guy. He was really sincere. And he was really honest about how it sucked that he just kind of faded into obscurity. And so I did have a really cool conversation with Barry Horowitz back in 2002 on the phone. He must have thought that story could have gone somewhere. I don't know why he was talking to me. I was literally just a kid in college, right, writing a paper. But he was super cool. He was really nice. So yeah, we would have nothing bad to say about Barry Horowitz. But the truth of it is, I just think it's interesting that when people do bad things, this is in life, what they tend to do is rationalize doing bad things by saying, well, that person is doing it too. It's really the same thing. If you have young children, that's how young children rationalize their view of the world. When their sibling does something wrong and they do it too, they did it too. You see it all the time. And we like to think that exists in the domain of children, but adults act that way all the time. And so that it really made me laugh when Richie said, well, I've seen you getting autographs. He mentioned Sky Blue in particular. And you're like, I was there. I was the one holding the freaking paper that Sky Blue was signing. So no, it's not the same as you buying from Tim Embler, stuff that me standing in the room next to Sky Blue is not the same thing as you getting, buying something in bulk from someone else. And it's a very, very interesting phenomenon that people engage in, where they make the assumption that other people do it, therefore they can rationalize it's okay to do it. And if you have any kind of sort of rudimentary understanding of ethics, that that this doesn't make any sense. And so I guess we'll use that to launch into our conversation about Richie Sorrentino, who runs or operates under GTG, which means good to go. Was it promotions or productions?
No. I mean, it should stand for got to go because, for obvious reasons. But I believe it stands for good times guaranteed.
I thought it was good to go.
I don't know. Listen, I've been talking to Richie this entire week, and I haven't had a single good time. So it's like
now I'm going nuts, but I really thought it was good to go.
I'm going to Google it, if he even has a website. Let's see. It's like talking to an orangutan.
It's GTG Productions. Am I banned? I am not banned. It's good times guaranteed. You're right.
Good times guaranteed. Absolutely. Yeah. These are great times.
You're right. I thought it was good to go. That's so funny. It's good times guaranteed, which is, I think good to go in the context of autographs, because that's an idiom that we use in the hobby, right? Oh, so-and-so, you can rely on hotspots. They're good to go. We say it all the time.
Yeah.
I assumed he was, using that. He's even dumber than I thought. I've actually never met Richie. Honestly, I'd never met him. Because any signing that Marked Out has done with a talent that Richie has brought in, and just in truth, we've done a few, right?
Yeah,
and we've never handed stuff to Richie and had him do them for us. We were in the room with the talent, so that's why this whole thing is so weird and fascinating. Because
let me address, because I know he was pointing out, which I'm sure he will continue to point out, that I have a personal vendetta against him. I have absolutely no personal vendetta against him. I think I've met him twice. I met him once at his show when, yes, I handed him cash so I could do my bulk with Sky Blue, standing with her while she signed my photos. And he was fine. I think there was also like a part of that was saying, well, if you were distrusting of my business, why would you give me cash? And it's like, if I'm not buying product from you, if I'm doing an in-person bulk, I'll give cash to anyone. Who cares?
You saw Sky Blue was sitting there. It wasn't like you were.
Yeah. I have no real. I'm not going to fund that business. I don't care. I'm not going to die on that hill. If Richie Sorrentino messaged me right now that he had talent in person and he offered me a good bulk price, I'd go to his house and do it now. I don't care if it's a good deal and I'm in person doing it. I'll do it. So that was the first thing. I've never had a bad encounter with him. It's just ethically seeing what he's doing. I couldn't sit idly by and say nothing. He took that and spun that, which I guess I would too if I was in the business he's in, doing what he's doing. It's a lot easier to make it sound like I have some grudge with him.
Yes, that's what these guys all do. When you point out some kind of inconsistency in their behavior or inconsistency in their rhetoric, right away it's personal. And it's funny because, and again, people don't really know me. I am much less known to these people than you are, which I'm very happy about, as I've said before. If they did know me, they would know that I pay zero mind to any of them personally on any level, ever, any of them. If I am nice to you in public, just understand that is because I am behaving appropriately for the social situation. Beyond that, that's just who I am. I don't really care about building personal relationships with.
Well, listen, if you ever need your credit fixed, you're going to be very upset you didn't build that personal relationship with Richie, the Credit King.
It's just very funny to me that their first these guys, they're all the same. Their first go-to is, I thought why didn't you come to me first? Like it's some kind of Godfather thing, why didn't we handle this backstage like a mafia thing or something? And I don't know you like that. You're a stranger to me. You're all strangers to me. I don't really know you. I mean, even if there are certain vendors and certain organizations that I say that I trust. But if I was given reason tomorrow not to trust them, then I wouldn't trust them anymore.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no like ironclad blood pact that I have to give these people my trust. Get the hell out of here. That's insane. It's actually insane thinking. And the fact that these people all kind of cultivate this weird, sad type of relationship building went over what amounts to this stupid freaking pieces of paper you're collecting. Look, and I'm guilty. I love dearly collecting these pieces of paper or these plastic boxes or these whatever. But to build your identity around it and to build your personality around it is sick. It's sick. There's no other way to say it. Anyway, let's actually talk about what the hell the claims are, how Richie came up. Because truthfully, all we said last week was we were going to put some fakes. And the first fake was from China. And the second fakes go into what it was about and how the stuff with Richie blew up.
Someone posted, since we made that whole thing about like, let's post and call out the people out there that are doing like, what we feel are wrongdoings and unethical business practices. So someone posted a thread on the Marked Out group calling out GTG and Richie, alleging that autographs they were selling were not authentic. And I made some reaction because that was the new thing that we were saying. Like I was tired of hiding our head in the sand when we would touch on these topics and then be like, oh, well, there's 14 companies out there, but we're not going to name any of them. And it was like, what's the point? Like, we're wasting just to be clear,
we were looking at some of the auctions that Richie was posting and rolling our eyes because we knew they looked bad.
Yeah. We've known this for a while. We've thought this for a while. And I remember I made a comment, and then I got, of course, as I was expecting, I got messages from Richie. And I don't remember them exactly. They weren't that interesting. It was the usual stuff. I got my stuff in person. I did this. Yes, I bought from Tim Embler, but it was in person at Icons. I didn't buy any of these things from Control Center. All these different things. Then somehow he fell down the wormhole, which I understand why they do it. I really do. And somehow Jerome Carter got in the mix. And if anyone knows about Jerome Carter, that's Richie's supposed right-hand man. People have gone on and on for years about, does Jerome exist? Does he not exist? So Richie starts talking about Jerome, and I think I even got messages from Jerome. It's like this, coincidentally, not at the same time. I never saw those type bubbles going at the same time with Richie and Jerome. but they were typing at varied times at the same basic moment in my life, which I kind of wish I could, not have had to live. Yes. So Richie starts arguing with me about how Jerome is real. And I made the comment to him that he should spend more energy proving the autographs are real and less effort on if Jerome is real.
Yeah, I remember you saying something to the effect of, I actually don't care. Like, create all of the alternate personalities you want, or don't, or whatever. There are Undertakers, and specifically, I believe you're talking about the Undertakers. There are these Undertakers that we know are not real and that we know match a particular forgery style that had been going on for a while that was coming out of Control Center.
Yeah. So I started getting like phone calls and Jerome's trying to prove he's real. And I don't care. I do not care if Jerome is real. I mean, I think there's some allegations about Richie with the different accounts. And I know certain people have theories that he's driving up auction prices with fake accounts. I don't know. I have no proof of this. I'm not watching his auctions like that. I do care because it's unethical, but I'm not going to run down that rabbit hole. I have no proof. It wouldn't shock me, but I mean, I have no proof. So I start getting phone calls. And of course, what I say to Richie is, it's not personal, which it's not. Someone called this out. I'm not going to delete it, and we're going to talk about it. And I would love to have you on the podcast. I invited him and Jerome to both come on together and let's have a conversation. That, of course, turned into phone calls. Call Jerome.
They start. It wasn't phone calls. They started sending you like those calls through Facebook Messenger.
The messenger calls. Yes.
I can say though with a straight face, if someone sends me, by the way, pro tip for the future, if someone sends me a call through Messenger, you're getting blocked instantly. There is no circumstance under which one of my relatives could be doing it. They're getting blocked. Under no circumstance am I picking up a Messenger phone call. Okay, continue.
So I'm trying to find the exact thread of what I exactly said to Jerome. So I'm trying to see where he called. I essentially said to him that I have zero desire to talk to you. So it's just a whole thing. He was saying, my phone is open. If you find time in your life and we speak, I can consider your podcast. But I'm not going on anything without speaking first. I responded, I can live without you coming on. I have no desire, and this is the reality. I'm not here. This is not. He didn't steal my bike. He didn't. He didn't do anything. They didn't cut me off in traffic. I have no personal issue. I have nothing to discuss privately. Everything is about transparency of the autograph authenticity. This podcast is transparent. He could have posted on the Facebook group. I would have gone on the GTG Facebook group and discussed this. I have no desire to talk privately. It's about bringing awareness to the paying customers. That was my point. I told Richie, I told Jerome, I do not want to have private conversations. I don't even want to have public conversations. It's just the nature of the beast of having to just talk about these elephants in the room that someone introduced on the forum. So that was that. We went around in circles. And then the next morning I woke up to a message from Richie that I don't even know. There was like one giant paragraph. I'm not a member of the ChatGPT pay tier that could possibly convert and translate that mess.
You would need a NASA supercomputer.
Yeah.
I understand decode whatever that was.
I understand why Richie wanted to speak on the phone because I guess he's a little stronger with his words than he is with typing words. I read it 6 times. I think I suffered a stroke or 2 while reading it, and I'm still not quite sure what he was saying. It was a lot of craziness. It was a lot of just honestly allegations and things that I don't even remember. That I won't even. If you want to read it, it's posted on the group. Like if you can translate that, by all means, tell me. Nothing he said it was even rooted in reality that I remember it. And he blocked me. So he did the that old special move there where you just send a message and block them, which is it's fine. I don't really care. He didn't want to come on. He started accusing us that we didn't want to talk on Facebook Live, and that's because we apparently edit our podcast and we take things and copy and paste. Granted,
what's so funny is that we steadfastly do not do that. In fact, that's how we got Dylan Hines to come on here. Yeah, is by assuring him that we actually don't edit this. Let me be very honest. You can hear enough mistakes when I speak and when Dana speaks. I'm not going back and editing this thing. Okay,
No.
there's a slight audio cleanup that goes in, and that's it. I am not investing time and energy into cleaning this up for you people. You get what you get. And so the premise that I'm going to take this idiot and cut up his words, it's demented. It's actually demented. But it's honestly, and the truth of it is, Richie is a small fish. Okay, he's an unwell guy of limited intelligence who found a way to make it through the world by, obviously he can't function. He functions on the fringes of society, and so he found a way to kind of navigate his way through life in an underhanded fashion. And you know what? On some level, given his limitations, his very apparent limitations, I almost don't begrudge him in some way.
No, I mean, listen, he could be wheeling, carts in from the parking lot at Walmart, but he's doing this, which I guess on some level takes a little more skill.
I'm not gonna make fun of people who are who need to use labor as a means of supporting themselves, but he's not even doing that. He's using the most sort of rudimentary, pathetic con techniques. And honestly, pushing carts in the parking lot has dignity. It's honest. It's honest work. It's honest work. This is nonsense. This is somebody who, and so the problem with these people, and Richie is one. They're of pretty limited intellect, and so it's very easy to catch them in inconsistencies and lies, and as soon as you do, they block, and then they make accusations, and then they go crazy and whatever. And I'm fully anticipating weird accusations that pop up about us in public because Richie is unwell. And it's the thing is, we know Richie is unwell, but the funny thing was, Richie is unwell, and he is acting on behalf of someone who is making a lot of money because of the gullibility of wrestling fans. And so one of the things that we notice in Richie's auctions and his sales online, his lives, were a lot of Undertaker autographs that were being sold too cheap,
way too cheap,
and that had hallmarks of being bad. There were specific qualities of these that have, we're not revealing what they are, that they look bad. And so we knew this. So I remember you kept pressing him, Richie, how did you get the Undertakers? Where did you get them from? Where did you get them from? And if you got them from, because we knew, and you knew, that the time frame that Richie claimed to have gotten these, the Undertaker was repped by Ryan Fitterman.
Yes.
And Ryan Fitterman...
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Ryan Fitterman is an accessible person. He's very easily reachable. And if a person wants to run a bulk signing with a Ryan Fitterman rep talent, all one has to do is ask Ryan, tell him the number of pieces that you want, and he will give you a rate. It's actually a very easy thing. And so when it came to Undertaker, we knew that if Richie said something, we could just ask Ryan, did this happen?
And here's the deal, just to be accurate, when I got the exact details of the Undertaker deals, I believe I was talking to Richie, but I was talking through the Jerome Carter account. Was it Richie? Was it Jerome Carter? I don't know. But I was talking to them. I was talking to Jerome, and he mentioned how he gets such a great deal on the Undertaker because he does bulks with Fitterman. And he said, talk to Fitterman, ask him. I said, pricing doesn't get that low. Let me know the price you pay. He said, I buy 100 a pop minimum, as if 100-piece bulk is a lot. That's
and definitely now we know, average. And then the listeners know, right? Because we had Tom Unger on here, right? You know that 100 pieces is small potatoes.
Absolutely.
When someone like Tom Unger is contracting talent for thousands of pieces, and the big players, the big money players do that. So he's already explained that to you guys. So when Jerome / Richie / whoever says I buy in bulk 100 at a time, right away your alarm bells go off. Your bullshit meter is blinking.
Yeah. So at that point, I knew I had him going. So I said, I'll talk to my rep. I'll text my rep and see what kind of a price I could get for 100 pieces, since you're so sure it's cheap enough. So I said, basically, what do you pay? So he said, depends on quantity. Prices don't go how low. I have done deals where it was as low as 50 per. So I said, okay, so you pay 50 per on 100. He says, go talk to Fitterman. So I again repeat that I will ask them to give me the GTG deal. He says, sure, go ahead. People pool up. I've done deals with Fitterman, Unger, American Icon, Bud Carson, Captain's Corner, etc.
So you got to understand something. And people have to understand.
Yeah.
The danger of naming these people is you run the risk of those people seeing what you write and responding to you.
Yeah.
Because these people are not like these ghosts that they hide. These are real people. We've talked to all of them, and we're not even claiming that we're like friends with these people. We've talked to all of them. They're human beings, right?
Yeah.
And so these claims are very easily verifiable. Once Jerome/Richie says we got it for 50 per, the next question is ask Ryan Fitterman.
Yeah.
Have you ever sold Richie Undertakers for 50 a pop? It's like, it's such an obvious thing for us to do that it's almost crazy that he challenged us to ask Ryan, knowing what the answer was going to be. That leads me to believe again that there's something wrong with him.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I know the way Richie operates. So I said to Jerome, I'll be discussing and posting these details on the podcast and Facebook group. He says, no problem. I got nothing to hide. And then he went on to say, all my Stone Colds come from American Icons. I buy bulk. buy bulk.
Just American Icons is the exclusive rep for Steve Austin. They have been for years. They're the ones who run all the private signings with Stone Cold. They're awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
I honestly, when I did the signing of my jacket with them, and I mailed it to them, and they one of the guys actually called me up and was like, "This thing is sick." He called me just to compliment it, which is funny. But they're there, and they took amazing pictures of Austin signing it. They're very, 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 very.
They are top notch. But before we get into Austin, let's wrap up the Undertaker. So I posted the screenshots of the conversation as consented to by Jerome, and I posted it in the group to sort of show, the idea that he made these claims that are just unrealistic. I didn't even send these to Ryan. Someone in the group tagged Ryan, and Ryan's response was, "We have never sold Undertaker for less than $125 to $150 per auto. And at that price, it would have to be approved vendors at a very high volume. Understand all of our Undertaker signings were conducted and managed by WWE when we were a corporate partner and the official memorabilia company of WWE." End quote. Now, this quote is in the marked out group. This is on the thread of the Jerome Carter post. Our receipts are there. I did not put a screenshot of this on the show graphic because, quite frankly, I don't think Ryan Fetterman wants to be associated with GTG any more than he has to be, which luckily for him is not at all because he's never dealt with them. So that was the answer on that. Jerome and Richie at that point had the wherewithal to vanish because, you're saying 50, he's saying no less than 125 to 150 has ever been charged. And the average prices of the auctions they sold, he would have been losing money on every single one of them. And of course, then I'm sure he would spin it and say, I got it here, I got it there. That's the problem when you commit this to something and you're caught in a lie. Because I don't care if he got it from Michelle McCool direct. Obviously, he didn't. He lied about this. We caught him in the lie thanks to Ryan Fitterman, the absolute best source for this type of Undertaker topic. I don't see how there's any way to even argue or wiggle around that. He made a claim. The claim was debunked. You're a liar. Done.
So again, then it got worse. Because he claimed that he got his Austin stock through American Icons. And then, so what ended up happening was the owner of American Icons, Sean Jacoby, chimed in on that front. And he wrote, "I own American Icon autographs. I don't remember selling bulk to anyone other than Fanatics, High Spots, Dark Parlor, Pristine, and Sports Integrity. That doesn't mean I didn't or someone else could have sold them afterwards. However, it's real simple. All the Austin stuff gets a Beckett Witness sticker, except trading cards, tickets, and some items with multiple signatures. If an Austin signed item has a Beckett Witness sticker, it's real, and the source doesn't matter. If you see an Austin signed item without a Beckett Witness sticker, I'd question the authenticity if it was supposed to have been signed after 2017 when we started working with Steve." So the point is, these items, I believe, were a sticker with PSA, or not at all?
I believe PSA, some of them at least. And here's the deal. Maybe someone would say, "Oh, well, Sean left the door open a crack that perhaps they bought it from someone else. Let me go back to my Jerome conversation, which is posted for public viewing. I said, let's see some payment receipts to American Icons for the Austin stock, or are you mailing cash? He says, okay, go check. And he was checking. I said, you're not in person with American Icons. So you paid them somehow that would leave a trail. Jerome responds, I never said I was in person. I'll check what I have. I got nothing to hide. That's where you would have said, I bought bulk from Fanatics. I bought bulk from Dark Parlor. He didn't, because he didn't. For whatever reason, he thought, they're not going to talk to Ryan or Sean Jacoby. First of all, Sean Jacoby, I think, just found this on his own.
Totally. Yep.
And he just debunked it. And then just to go one deeper, that night, someone posted a screenshot, because I couldn't, Richie already blocked me, but someone posted a screenshot to Richie's newest auctions. And one piece was a Stone Cold Steve Austin piece. And Sean Jacoby screenshotted it, posted it as a comment to that post with the quote, "This is very fake," end quote. Now, if you don't trust our eye, you don't trust a lot of people in the hobby's eye, I'm pretty sure Sean Jacoby of American Icons is able to tell a real Stone Cold from a fake Stone Cold, the same way Ryan Fetterman can debunk pricing. So you have two lies about where stock came from. And it was debunked by, honestly, two of the more reputable and respected people in the business, which was really just perfect.
You couldn't have, if you asked the story to be written, you couldn't have written it more perfectly than the way it came out. And so then it was very obvious that Richie / Jerome were just caught in a bunch of lies. And so then but what's so interesting, and I think it's important to note, the people who were most upset, Richie and Jerome were upset at being caught. The people who were most upset about Richie and Jerome or whatever being caught is their customers. Their customers were really upset. And some of their customers tried to come on our Facebook group and, again, you have a personal thing against Richie. You're just trying to bring him down. I've been buying from Richie for years. And I do understand this psychologically, right? Nobody who buys from anyone wants to believe that they were being duped. It hurts the ego when one realizes that one has been duped. And this is true of anything in life. Any time in life you've been taken advantage of, you've been humiliated. This is why, like, a lot of these financial pig butcher schemes and phishing schemes work so well. There are all these schemes about, like, they convince old ladies online that they're Elon Musk and they're secretly in love with them. Have you seen these things?
Yeah, I mean, these types of things are all over.
They're all over, and the reason why they work is because the human ego is a frail thing. And when one realizes that one has been made to look like a complete idiot, then your psyche goes into sort of a protective state where you'll say things and do things to try and protect your ego. And in doing so, you just become totally irrational. And so all of these customers were now, because if they've been buying for Richie for years and not only buying from him, but vouching him and watching this idiot blab on live on Facebook. And so for them they've been just wasting their time buying fake stuff from an idiot, then it's humiliating. And so I genuinely feel bad for these people. And I know that, there are some people on the group who have this attitude, burn them all down. They're all stupid and people are stupid. I think human beings are more complicated than that. And I really want to try and conduct my life with a little bit more grace than that. I do have some sympathy for lots of people in this chain. Look, on some level, I know maybe this is controversial. I have a little sympathy for Richie, knowing the clear challenges that he faces. Is he a complete jerk? Absolutely. Is he a thief and a ripoff artist? I believe he is, and I believe we've presented evidence to suggest that he is. But to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to burn everyone down, to humiliate and mock and make fun of anyone who has been taken by these people, I think is just unnecessarily cruel, and that goes with a lot of pieces of this chain. And so you're blocked. I'm not, because I love that. I am invisible to these people. You can fight. It's phenomenal. I'm not blocked. Now I'm going to get blocked, I guess, after this, but probably not. No one knows my name.
He's going to send you an angry message on Monday. He's going to definitely send you messages on Monday. He's going to be very upset about all this. but just to double back to what you were saying, I want to just put a bow on my perspective of this. Obviously, not everything. That's what we've been saying for a while. Now we're actually naming the names of who is guilty of this. Does Richie have zero legitimate autographs in his possession? Absolutely not. Like
in fact, I would say that he probably sells a pretty decent number of real things.
Yeah, he does work with talent. He was with Sky Blue. Obviously, he has. For him to sell fake Sky Blues after he got Sky Blue stuff signed, would it be almost harder? Like, you have the real stuff. Why would you fake? You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't make sense. It'd be an extra step. And let's be honest, the Sky Blue stock isn't necessarily setting the world on fire. So I bet you he has more real stuff than I even feel in my heart of hearts. And that's the tragic part of when you mix and you blend in the high end stuff. It devalues what you do. So yes, I'm sure, and I noticed that even on the group, there was one guy that was posting stuff that was clearly his, and he's like, "Oh, can I get a authenticity check on any of these pieces?" And yeah, that's real. That's real. No one said no one even alleged that he sold all fake autographs. It's just that there's instances and stuff where it is, of our opinion based on the evidence that we've laid out and other evidence that you can easily find by reading many different people's experiences, that there are, definitely some mixing going on.
Yeah, and it's a very, very important thing to point out is that these guys, many of them, will mix real and fake, and it's done purposefully. In fact, there's some of the other folks who we're still going to talk about, and again, Richie is at the bottom, near the bottom of this ladder. There's a rung higher than he is that we're going to talk about in a second. And these people, they know what they're doing. They can point to one of Rich. I remember when it was about a year ago or so, Richie had been accused of selling a fake Scott Hall, and he posted pictures of himself having a signing with Scott Hall, as if that proves something. And it doesn't. It doesn't, because that's the game. The game is have some real and mix in the fakes. That was what we alleged about the Ric Flair thing last week. That there was a signing that occurred. And that there were a lot of fakes that were also authenticated at that same location as the signing.
And more to come on that in a bit.
So I want to make a point here because we mentioned the name Control Center. And there's been lots of allegations about Control Center, specifically that Control Center was Richie's source. Look, it is very hard to prove that there is a particular source for forgeries. It's very hard to prove. Especially with the fact that, number one, these people they're very slippery. They delete evidence. They hide under multiple false identities. There are things that they do that are like, it makes it very hard. Especially, we're amateurs at this. We're going kind of based on our eyes and doing what they're doing what we're doing to help people out and try and prevent them from getting ripped off. These people are, professional thieves. And something that's really important to remember is that professional thieves are better at lying, and they're better at hiding, and they're better at getting people to trust and believe in them than normal people. Not that we're going down a rabbit hole a little bit, but the term con man is a shortened term that stands for confidence man. That's what a con man is. And because these guys, not only do they exhibit extraordinary confidence, but they actually then, they definitely are so charming in some cases that they cause other people to trust them. And that is a hallmark of thieves and con men, is they get people to like them, to trust them, to believe in them, to show loyalty to them. And then we've said this before, I do not want, as a retailer, I need to make this very clear. I do not want your loyalty. That means nothing to me. I want you to look at what we sell. I want you to recognize that it is of the top quality. Our goal is to sell the top quality stuff. I don't need your loyalty for that. If we have the top quality stuff and you want the top quality stuff, you'll buy it. That's what I want.
Let's say 10 years from now, somehow I forget how to make edits, and you look at our prints in 10 years and you're like, wow, this is a giant piece of shit, but they were good to me 10 years ago. So I'm going to buy this. I echo your sentiment. I was a collector first. I am still a collector. If you don't hear all the money I spend foolishly every week, I would never expect someone to be loyal to me because of whatever, friendship, parasocial relationship, anything. We make what we think is of the highest quality. If you want something of a high quality, buy from us. We guarantee you everything is handled and done by us, and we're going to ship it well and fast and all of that. If that's what you look for in a seller, we're your guys. But like, don't be loyal to us. And I agree with you completely.
And so, but they without fail, that's what these guys do. The real thieves, they thrive on this sense of loyalty. It's fascinating. And I actually have commented to you about this, off the air many times. It's like these weird cults of personality that exist out there in our world, and also just in the general world at large. And it's something that I have a very hard time wrapping my head around, because again, maybe I'm the weird one. I don't really feel loyalty in that way to strangers. To my family, sure. To my friends, absolutely. To strangers, it's on the internet, selling me wrestling autographs. Come on, use your head a little bit. If someone is trying to sell you something, I don't care what it is, a car, an 8x10, a house, a pet rock, whatever. They're trying to extract money out of you. And so there's always, I don't care what the circumstances, if someone is selling something to you, there is an adversarial relationship there. They're trying to get the most out of you that they possibly can in that transaction. And in an economic system, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing at all.
That's the nature of this dance. You try to get the most out of me. I try to get the best deal I can get out of you. And that's what it is. Like, that's exactly what it should be.
And so, but the idea that, we're friends, I'll cut you a break. No, thanks. I don't ask for that. I don't deliver that. That's not what this is. And so anyway, to talk about Control Center is really fascinating, because Control Center is one of those names that people really are nervous talking about. Control Center is owned by someone named, or run, who even the hell knows? The name behind Control Center is this guy, Tim Embler. I think I've only seen Tim once in person, and he didn't know who I am. Someone pointed him out to me because he was walking around. I want to say it was one of the big events, I think, but I don't even remember. It could have been something else.
I think we saw him there once in the distance.
Just walking around as a customer, I think, honestly. I don't really know him at all. I do know that he runs an indie promotion, Battleground Wrestling. He frequently has wrestlers that he runs signings with. And again, this is what is so
he was involved with the hell is it called? Icons, the Icons Wrestling Convention in Philadelphia, which
he frequently runs the ECW Arena building.
Yeah. From what I've heard from friends that go, and I've told him this privately, I've always heard good things about his show. They're well run, well organized. He obviously works with talent. And just to be completely full, transparency, I've talked to vendors this week. One vendor told me that Tim Embler bought bulk from him before. As we said with Richie, I'm sure there's a lot of authentic stock.
Yeah, in fact, go to Control Center's website right now. There's plenty of items that are real on there. In my opinion, you look at them, they look real. So it's been sort of an unspoken secret among many, many, many people we've spoken to. Of course, they're all off the record, and that is because a lot of people sort of fear crossing Tim Embler. In fact, when you were communicating with him, right? Because as soon as his name popped up on Marked Out, mysteriously, he slid into your DMs, right?
Yeah, was
he very polite?
It's funny that there was a conversation we had before that where he basically, I forget what convention I was going to be at, but he wanted to fight me at the convention. It sounded like he was very aggressive, and how we're going to have a conversation like men face to face. And I said to him, I'm like, Tim, I'm nearly 40 years old. As much as I hate to admit this, I'm not fighting with you in a wrestling convention about me thinking your crap is bad. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, I have no desire to fight you. The fact that you're this mad is actually funny. And so this time he was very polite. And
very polite.
But it was also, you could read the undertones.
There was a veiled threat.
Yeah.
There was a veiled threat.
Let's talk face to face. Now, again, much like Jerome and Richie, I don't want to talk privately. I don't care to talk privately. I don't need. Like, I know what you're going to say. I know you're listening right now. Hey, Tim. It is what it is. It's one of those games where, like we said, it's all mixing. I know what you are. I can't prove what you are necessarily. I'm not trying to. It is what it is. We're having a conversation. I'm sure you'll message me. If your message is funny enough, I'm going to read it on the air because you guys get upset. I don't. It's content. So if you send me some really funny message of anger or legal threats, I will read it on the air because it's funny. Like this, so I'll let that be known now. I will share whatever you send me publicly if it amuses me. So message me with that knowledge.
So we do have some evidence. It's actually pretty funny because these guys are, at the end of the day, they are amateurs. And even they like to be professional, or they like to think they're professional. And so, obviously, since they all try and distance themselves from each other, but they sell the same garbage. And so, Richie had posted a GTG, I should say, whichever personality was running it at the time, posted a magazine.
I think it might have been Mantor. I think Mantor posted that one.
Oh yeah, is that on GTG or?
I'm joking. I'm saying another WWE jobber that he impersonates.
There you go. I missed the joke. It's late. And anyway, I feel stupid now for missing the joke. Anyway, this it has a bad Triple H signature on the cover. It just looks bad. It's not good. And people have to understand, Triple H is not an easy autograph to get. He's actually gotten easier in recent years, but he doesn't appear in public that often. And if someone has an item they claim to have gotten signed recently and it's signed perfectly in paint, the whole thing, there's a good chance it's not real because Triple H is not signing that much. He's not around. No. So anyway, Richie or GTG had it on auction. And it just so happened that same item was on Control Center's website. And so, wouldn't you know, isn't it freaking unbelievable that when that item gets called out on the Facebook group as being forged in Richie's thing, what happens to the page from Control Center's website that it was on? What do you think happened to it?
I think it went bye-bye.
That's exactly what happened. And so isn't it such a funny thing that you think you can just delete a web page and think that evidence of that thing disappears? Isn't that really funny? Give me a break. And it's such amateur hour. The same item that was on a same fake forged item that was on Richie's auction was also on Control Center's website. And so this is just one example. And so it's an example of a slip up. And truthfully, if you comb through the archives, I'm sure you can find many more because
nothing goes away.
Nothing goes away. And you can delete your eBay account. You can pretend. I mean, it's funny. He said in DMs with you that, well, I don't even really sell autographs anymore.
Oh, yes. I have that synced up right here. His exact quote. I barely sell autographs anymore, but when I do, I will always offer a refund for failed items. And then
we forgot to mention this before. Go ahead. You say it now. Yeah.
My response was PPWF does the same thing. It's the best way to silence any noise.
It's true. What's so funny, though, is that like all of these different bad actors, they all talk crap about each other, and so like Tim does not want to be associated with PPWF. No. No.
He actually said I don't know PPWF, and I responded how you're both in the same line of work and you both do good work, which I'm not going to say what line of work that is because I'm not going to say that, but you could connect the dots.
What's hilarious is though that everybody who's in wrestling autographs knows who PPWF is. They were physically present for many major East Coast wrestling cons. For him to claim he doesn't know who they are is not credible. It's just not credible.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. It makes zero sense. They've both been around forever.
It's not credible at all. In fact, that's a giveaway that he's lying. Okay, it's not credible. He doesn't know who he is. It's like saying you don't know who High Spots is. It's not credible. Okay, because for as good a reputation as High Spots has, that's how negative a reputation that
PPWF is like the High Spots of like the alternate like timeline of like it really is. They are the like high spots.
There's at least one other account that is selling all Control Center style items on there.
Oh yeah, they have all the greatest hits. This website, this eBay account is. And Tim, if you want, if you want to send me a little advertising check, feel free. Warzone Wealth. That is Warzone Wealth. If you want to buy your not so authentic looking autographs, go there.
And so what's funny is, though, all the autographs on this Warzone Wealth, or I shouldn't say all, many of them are PSA certified.
Yeah.
And I think we have to talk about PSA. And I think that on a show in the future, in the near future, we need to have some people on who can really give us the inside dirt on PSA. So something is going on at PSA. Look, there's a reason why PSA certified items are not allowed to be sold on RICC.
Yeah.
Or rather, I should maybe rephrase. You are not allowed to use PSA certification on RICC as evidence of an item's authenticity.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason is because there are so many fake items that have been signed by PSA. So many. And it actually, when you look at that Warzone Wealth eBay account, so many items they do not look right to the eye. Okay. And then the thing about it is these authentication companies are supposed to be using exemplars. Right? I've watched Beckett. I've watched JSA. I've watched ACOA do this, where they use the exemplars they have in their database in order to make comparisons, in order to issue an opinion that an item is authentic. There are so many items now with PSA stickers that do not look authentic. They just don't. They do not match exemplars. They have qualities that are not consistent with what the exemplars have. Anyone who knows these autographs just knows it. There was just, we were going through this before. Just go item after item after item, certified by PSA, and we're looking at it going, this is not good. This is not good either. This is not good either. And it's actually extraordinarily frustrating, not because we have an implicit trust in a TPA, but because clearly there's something wrong here. Clearly there's something going on. And so, look, I'm going to be honest. We did a signing with Ric Flair at Big Event, and we got those items stickered with PSA because PSA was the third party authenticator who gave us the best price at the show. Now I know we got the items done, and they were the show stickers. That PSA was the authenticator who were there, so we got them done. How do you feel about that?
Not good at all. Honestly,
I'm not happy. Not happy, and I should have known better. I should have known better because there have been rumblings about PSA's declining reputation for years. Okay, for years, and even when look, one of the more prominent. I really don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but one of the more prominent authenticators in this field is someone named Steve Grad. Steve Grad worked for PSA for a really long time, and then he left PSA and went to Beckett. And supposedly that was when the quality of authentication at PSA declined. Some people claim there's a cause and effect relationship there. Steve Grad is very well known in the authentication world. There are, by the way, I don't mean to say he's beyond reproach, because there are people who say that Steve Grad has authenticated things that were not authentic, and there's always going to be some controversy about these people.
Now, I don't think anyone's perfect.
And nor do I even care, really. But the point is, there's been a rumbling for a while that PSA has declined in quality. And I'm not even necessarily saying that PSA is stickering these items out of corruption or malice. I truly don't know. I'm kind of a believer in Occam's razor, to the extent that I think that the simplest solution is true. And the simplest solution is, whoever is getting these items done is probably kicking a lot of business PSA's way, and PSA is just doing that because if they refuse to sticker them, then they would lose that business.
Yeah,
it's really that simple.
And there's one theory out there, which I personally, I'm undecided on it. There's one theory. Someone posted a bunch of GTG PSA letters, and the theory is that the GTG ones, compared to like other ones from trusted sources, look fake. And I've looked at these pictures several times, including tonight. The picture quality isn't great. I'm not leaning on this as evidence. I'm not convinced. As much as Richie and others out there that support him want to act like I'm on some sort of a witch hunt, I'm not. I want fairness. I want transparency. I want evidence I could actually lean on. I can't lean on that. Is it possible that they are fake stickers and fake letters? Sure. Am I saying that's the case? Do I feel that's the case? I don't. I don't feel strong enough to go in that direction. But that is definitely something people have floated. You can be your own judge. It is posted in the group. That's a possibility. I think it's probably what you said, though. It's just a lot of business, and they kind of just go with it because that's a nice little cash.
I need to really, really be clear here. Do not take our word for anything.
No,
don't. I will never say trust me. I don't ask for your trust. I don't want it. I don't ask for it. Look at the items and make your own decision. Look and really learn about what these people's autographs are supposed to look like. If you want to be part of this hobby, then really learn and really look. And if you really look and you think all of the items that have been sold by GTG are good, that's fine. That's fine. But I urge you to really, really look and really, really think about the prices that things are being sold at, the quantities of these supposedly rare autographs that keep popping up. And I mean, these guys seem to have an endless supply of Austins and Triple H's and things like that. These are people who just don't sign that much. And Undertaker, there's not enough out there.
Not without the actual stickers that American Icons and Fitterman and they have on their actual stuff from them, which these clearly are not. That's what it comes down to. Forget, even if you have no skill at identifying what an autograph looks like, think about the price. I'm telling you right now, I've spoken on this. You have spoken on this. Fitterman has spoken on this. Chad Rick has spoken on this. There's not some big top secret cover up where talent is charging us $3 per piece and we're charging a 400% markup. I'm not driving a Bentley. None of us are getting rich from selling autographs. When we tell you that the price to get these autographs at the source, wholesale, is high and only getting higher, that's real. When Fitterman says we have not sold them for under $125 to $150, that's real. If you're seeing someone consistently selling Undertakers or anyone like that for less than it should be, if you see a steal, if you see a deal, back to what you said, that's probably that old saying of if it seems too good to be true, it almost certainly is. That is what this is. You have to release the idea that you're going to find a bargain. You're not. We try to have fair pricing. I don't think we have anything that's like a steal. You're not going to come on our page and be like, holy crap, that shouldn't be that price. We try to keep our price at a realistic place because we want to make as much money, not as much money as we can, but we want the most valuable and solid sale that we can get while being
on every transaction. We want to make as much profit as the market can bear.
Yeah,
that's what we want. That's the thing. That's what capitalism is making as much profit as the market can bear. So when these guys are selling things and the prices are lower than wholesale, use your brain. And it's the one area, and that's why we know that someone like a Tim Embler is never going to really sue someone. Because if he sued someone, he'd be open to discovery. And the first thing that a lawyer would ask him for would be the receipts that he paid. And I would love to see the receipts that were paid for all of the stuff that was sold through these accounts over the years, right? I would love. Could you imagine Richie, right? Richie suing somebody. Okay, Richie, produce your receipts for all these. If you're going to make the claim that they're real, produce the receipts, right? Yeah. Produce your payments to the IRS. Produce the 1099s you sent to these talents when you hired them. I'd love it. I'd love to do it. And that's what's so funny about operating in the shadows is that no matter how tough or how smart you think you are, okay, you're not that smart. And there will eventually be someone who is smarter than you, who understands how things work. And then what do you do? Right? There is a reason, I think, that righteous. I'm going to sound like a lunatic right now. There is a reason why righteous people operate in the light. It's because it makes your life easier. It makes your life easier when you're truthful. It makes your life easier when you're honest. Because
you don't have to remember so much.
You don't have to remember so much. You don't have to keep track of your relationships and worry and hide and delete things. Who needs it? Right? There's no need. So that's why these guys honestly, why for so long, so many people were worried. But the people who were worried, and I understand, to be fair to them, the people who were worried about calling these guys out are people who rely on this business to feed their families. I do not. Okay. I mean, we've made this very clear, I think, multiple times on the air, that one of our main purposes for running Marked Out Collectibles is we want to have the opportunity to kind of discover and work with up and coming brand new talent. It's interesting, it's amusing, it's mentally stimulating, right?
Yeah.
If Marked Out Collectibles goes away tomorrow, literally disappears tomorrow, my ability to pay my bills is not changed in any way. That's something
honestly, I think I'd probably have more money.
Yes, it would. If this hobby went away tomorrow, I'd have more money.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And so, and just to be very, very transparent about that, this is not, that's why it was so funny. It'll segue into the next conversation. It was so funny when we were accused of like trying to harm another vendor to increase our business. And I'm like, I don't care about our sales volume. It doesn't. Yeah. I like selling stuff. It's fun. It's interesting. It's nice to make a little pocket money to spend at a con or whatever, or to hire a talent. It's interesting. It's fun, and we do make some money from it. But like, it's not a meaningful. It's not a meaningful amount. I know that some of these other vendors are using it. They're using it to feed their family. So anything that could possibly endanger that, to them, is scary. To me, Marked Out Collectibles goes away tomorrow, and it was fun while it lasted, but it doesn't really do anything to me. And so, it's that's why these guys are so scared, because they don't operate in the light. They don't actually have an honest way of interacting with the world. They don't operate in the norms of society. They operate on the fringes of society. And so, listen, there are many people in this world who operate on the fringes of society that I have no problem with. I have no ethical problem with. But when you're taking people, we've already said before that there are people, an uncomfortable percentage of the people in this hobby have disabilities, intellectual, emotional, physical, etc. An uncomfortable number of people are operating very, very close to the poverty line. An uncomfortable number of our customers are operating very near the poverty line. And that's something that I think about, and I have real feelings about it. And the idea that there are people who sense that vulnerability, who they sense that the obsessive nature in people causes them to spend money they don't have, and they want to exploit that and harm those people. You can make an argument that me selling, or if we sell, an Olivia Hussey to somebody who can't afford it, that we're harming them. That's an argument we can have, and I think it's an interesting one, honestly.
Yeah.
And we've had similar arguments in the car driving to cons. But that person can turn around and sell that the day after they buy it from us because it's real.
Yeah.
If you take advantage of someone like that and you give them something that's fake and you're stealing from them, it's just particularly grotesque. And I really have a problem with it. And that's why we're doing this.
Exactly. I spent nearly $1,400 on Ice Cube, which is absolutely insane. But I'm getting a photo with Ice Cube. I'm getting, hopefully, an authentic signed vinyl. Although, as we've seen from other things, God knows. But at least I know I'm going to that concert. I'm getting the photo. It is all, it is real. It is tangible. It's going to be Ice Cube. It won't be like that fake Snoop Dogg that wandered around the city 15 years ago. It'll be Ice Cube. I get what I paid for, as nonsensical as it is. But like you said, these people don't have much money. They have disabilities and other, issues that are exploited by these people who give them this parasocial relationship where they feel like this is their friend and they can trust, or such a good deal, I can afford this. And it's gross. It's really gross. And that's honestly the main issue I have with the whole thing, is that the idea that you're ripping these people off, selling them something, as you always call it, a luxury good, but it's not even an authentic luxury good. You might as well be one of those Nigerian scammers that you just call and say, "Oh, I need the money, whatever, just wire me $2,000." It's the same difference.
It's the same thing as It's the same thing as promising people who have bad credit, who are suffering with their bad credit, that if they pay you, you can help them fix their credit. It's the same as that.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're not helping them. You're just taking more money from desperate people. Okay, how about that? So that it's the same kind of person who would do that. And so anyway, we got a little bit of moral righteousness there, and I apologize, but that's why these guys are particularly grotesque, because they're doing something that is just it's morally wrong. On a positive note, we actually have an interesting partial resolution to the fake Ric Flair JSA Witness certification story from last week.
We do.
This was an extraordinary week for this. So we have to bring up this gentleman by name because he featured so heavily into it. And he was also the person you were arguing with on Facebook originally.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah. So his name is Mike Thompson, and he was very, very upset that we called out the fake JSA Witness certified Ric Flairs because he had been selling a lot of them. And he was really, really, really mad. And he was really, really, really mad at us and Ryan Fitterman because we're all kind of saying the same thing. And he made all kinds of accusations about how we were trying to hurt his business and all this stuff. And he was really publicly carrying on. And what's so interesting is this was I think, a case of someone desperately trying to see something that just wasn't there. Because he was convinced that what we were saying was that all of the autographs that came out of that Ohio signing were bad. And what we actually said quite explicitly multiple times was some of the autographs were bad. And I've made this point before. We've made this point before. The worst thing you can do is mix good and bad. Because it basically, even the good stuff then has a taint. Yeah. Even the good stuff is sullied. It's ruined because now you're not sure. Right.
And let me just give a little backstory on this. The initially when we called this out, and we alluded to it in the post and in the podcast about the cards and the eBay auctions. I made that whole drop. Then I stumbled on Mike Thompson's actual post, which was filled with all this stuff. And it was morning before work. I just shared it. I shared it to the group. I said, here you go. There's a lot of fake autographs in here. And we went back and forth. And Mike got defensive. And what I did, which I don't usually bring this type of thing to, Ryan's desk. I mean, he's busy. He's got a lot of stuff going on. Frankly, I don't think he really cares about a lot of the drama going on Marked Out Collectibles marketplace. But this involved one of his clients. So I sent him a message, which, him and I became Facebook friends, which definitely means we're tight now. We're going to barbecues together and we're going to go on vacations. But anyway, as Facebook friends, the message doesn't go into that weird request folder. It goes into the regular folder. So I shoot him a message. I said, hey, just a heads up. There's autographs here from this Ohio signing with JSA authentication. I am of the belief that a lot of them are fake. Just want to make you aware. I even went as far as to say you are not an authenticator. I don't expect you to make any sort of judgments. Just do what you will with it. He responded back in seconds. I will not get into the contents of our messages. See, I don't share private messages from people I respect. But anyway, so he was outraged, and we went back and forth. He commented saying as much that it was not good. Mike then accused both of us of lying. I then got a message from a man. I'm not going to say his name because, frankly, I don't remember his name. It was just some weird, guy from Ohio that was involved in this whole thing. And he started sending me threats and messages about this and that. We're going to sue you. How dare you talk about our thing? And I told him straight up that these things were bad. I showed him a couple pictures. I said, this is trash. At the end of his message, I essentially told him, I'm like, I know what you're doing. A lot of people are going to know what you're doing. I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. You're messing with the wrong person because I know exactly what's going on here. And his last message before deleting all his prior messages and then blocking me was, you and Fitterman are going to hear from my attorney. So I sent that to Fitterman. Fitterman and I had a good laugh at that because it was just absurd. And that was the last I've heard from him. So then all of a sudden, then we had some resolution. Actually, I take that back. The next day, Mike Thompson came back with all this evidence that, some of the autographs were real. and that Fitterman had similar looking autographs, which again, we never said they were all fake. So that was not a smoking gun. He was leaning on like maybe 7 or 8 pieces that were good and ignoring the 27 or 28 ones that were awful from his post. We went back and forth. Fitterman went back and forth with him on his actual post on his page. And honestly, nothing really went anywhere. We approved the post because unlike what a lot of people like to think, on the GTG camp, we are transparent. And at one point, he messaged me angrily saying, "Oh, you deleted the post." I'm like, "I didn't delete the post." And I messaged it to him. And I said to him, "I am interested in getting you and everyone that I think is involved in anything, nefarious. I want you on record with as much as I can possibly have you on record as saying. So I'm deleting nothing. Hence why I'm not having phone calls. I'm not meeting Timothy Embler at the food court or any of this, because it's useless to me if I don't have evidence. This is all about awareness." So anyway, that was that. And it was all quiet on the Western Front for several hours. And then last night I got a message from Mike Thompson, and I'm not going to quote him verbatim because he himself is going to make a statement. He assured me, but he came back and told me JSA called him. Actually, I skipped a step. Fitterman helped us, and he reached out because he has. I said this to him. You are his company compared to ours. We are like the lemonade stand, like outside of a business. Like he was a corporate sponsor of WWE, a corporate partner. I said, if you can forward this up the ladder at JSA, you could probably get a lot further, a lot quicker than we can. And sure enough, he got it up that ladder quick. And last night, Mike got a call from JSA informing him that a lot of the stuff was fake. He admitted to that to me. He apologized and said he felt stupid and he was wrong. And he basically promised he was going to make it right to everyone that purchased from him. And what he's waiting for is JSA is going to sort of investigate every single piece on a completely micro level and figure out which ones are real and can stay certified and which ones are fake, and we'll be getting the old COA X. So
there was some kind of controversy on Marked Out about this because you posted this that Mike was pretty clear and he was pretty upset that he got ripped off because he had paid for the autographs from the person who brought Flair in. Now, just to be clear, Mike did that thing that is very dangerous, which is to shade the truth a little bit. So when he initially talked to you about how he worked with Flair, he made the claim that he dealt with Flair directly. And that was honestly that once again, just because the same thing that Richie said, that gave us the in to speak with Fitterman, and the truth came out. Then he quickly clarified that he didn't work with Flair directly. He instead bought them from a vendor who was there. And so I asked him the question publicly, "Well, Mike, who did you buy them from?" And all of a sudden it got murky and quiet. Yeah. And that is the problem. When you buy from a source, you have to trust that source is legitimate. And I do. And maybe call me naive. Maybe I'm a babe in the woods and I want to see the best in people. I believe Mike was sincere and honest when he claimed that he didn't know they were fake and that he thought they were real and he spent a lot of money on them. I do. Do I think he was being a little bit willfully naive at getting them at this very low price? Because that was that whole argument he had with you, that he's able to get them at a price that you can't get them at because you buy them from Ken or whatever he said. I think he was being a little willfully naive, and I think he was engaging in a little bluster, a little bravado that he probably shouldn't, because I think he really thought that we were coming after him personally. When again, I don't care. We don't care about you at all. You're anonymous. You're some person. Yeah. I don't mean to be mean about it, but we saw some stuff that looked fake, and wouldn't you know, we were right. And so he mea culpa'd privately, and we're waiting and I understand his reasoning for wanting to wait. He wants to look, he's facing thousands of dollars in losses. That is a scary thing. There are very few of us who run a small business who when faced with thousands of losses in cash right away would be happy about it. That's something you got to scramble to fix. So I understand why he's upset, and I understand, but there are people, right, carrying on in public about how we let him off the hook too easy, and I don't know what they want us to do to the poor guy, honestly. So many
I
people
was
just run and hide and not say anything. He's not doing that.
I was thinking maybe we could tar and feather him. That might like help.
It's
Maybe
so
I don't even
silly.
know. I don't know what they expect us to do. He could have vanished. He could have said nothing. And I made this clear to a couple of people because I'm the kind of guy, if someone, especially if I know you and you comment something that I think is just not true or it's just I disagree completely, I will message you and I'll talk about it because I want to like, I don't want you to think that like, oh, I got that point. Oh, I want to talk it over because I don't agree with it. And basically the point was, well, you don't really think he was tricked, do you? I know he knew, type of thing. And my basic point was, you don't know what he knew any more than I do. Like, I'm going to take his actions and his intentions at face value. He didn't have to message me last night. He didn't have to basically apologize last night. He didn't have to say that I am considering most of these as fake until I'm told otherwise by JSA, and I'm preparing to refund everyone. And he remarked how he's not looking forward to it because who would be? That sucks. It really sucks, and I feel for him. And I'm happy that he's doing the right thing, or at least he's promising to do the right thing. And listen, if months from now he does nothing and no one is made whole and he vanishes, I'll be back off the Mike Thompson bandwagon. I'll be dragging him again. I got receipts if I need to use them, but I don't think I'm going to because he didn't have to do that. And I'm trusting that he's going to do that. So for us to bully him, and that's the point. And that's where we're going as we sort of talked about all of these infamous figures, and we're going to move to we're going to move on from this. I'm not looking for Marked Out Collectibles Marketplace to be a place where we bully people and we make fun of this person and that person. No, that's not the point. My DMs are open. Your DMs aren't open. You've made that very clear. You don't want to be DM'd.
I'm being a little bit facetious. I mean, if people have DM'd me before, it's just funny that I just find it funny that for people they sort of identify you as the public face of the show, which is I love that. I really love that because it shields me a little bit from the incessant communication with the public that you have to engage in.
Yeah,
it's just a funny thing, I think, that is part of the whole energy of this thing.
Yeah. So anyways, to wrap up Mike Thompson, I have no desire to put him under the magnifying glass with the sun beaming through it. That's not my goal. I'm glad. Like, I'll be completely honest, and I'm not taking, I'm not looking for a statue to be erected in our honor because I mean it was us, it was the community, it was Fitterman, it was all these people. But this is a pretty big deal in wrestling. We've had some of these scandals in celebrity and sports that things have been reversed, and we've had this investigation and these different things in wrestling due to its limited value for a while. This is uncharted territory. So for a movement that we've started and we've been a part of to try to clean up this whole mess of fakes, to have this happen is a huge win. I'm extremely just proud of the community for this to have happened. But I'm not like, if anything, I want to talk to Mike. I want to understand, the bigger picture. He's not the end goal here.
Right. But I think, right. He's a small fish again. And what I think, though, that a lot of these vendors need to understand, this is a low wage operation. This is a low profit operation. The most profitable, by far, endeavor that we have done with Marked Out Collectibles was the Olivia Hussey thing. Fair?
Yes.
All the other stuff, and maybe Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny was very profitable also. The other stuff, minimally so. And really, let's be honest, the Tom Kenny thing, dumb luck, because as after hours happened, he just stopped doing privates for a while and then jacked his price to the moon. We got very lucky
now, but he's higher, yeah,
much higher. We got in on exactly the right time. Olivia Hussey, I am going to for once just give myself credit there. I saw something that literally no one else did. No one else. And I went.
No one else saw that.
and I'm proud of it. And the amount of money we've made on her so far, and the amount of inventory we still have to make money on is just, it's something that that I really am personally. I consider it a personal accomplishment of mine. And I really am proud of it. Beyond that, the rest of this stuff, you're not making huge money. So my point is, lots and lots and lots of people try to be resellers for Ric Flair or Bret Hart or these kinds of names, right? If you think you have some secret formula where you're going to be the one to make a ton of profit on Ric Flair, where all the rest of the suckers are only making a meager profit, you got to really examine why you think that is. Why you think what about your business model is so extraordinary that you have the inside track? And if the answer is nothing, which of course it is nothing, then you realize that maybe your source is problematic. Yeah. And unless you're standing there watching Brett sign or watching Rick sign or whoever, this is not, again, this is not a huge margin operation. It's not a huge margin type of business. You know, if you think you're going to get in here and start making a lot of money really fast, no, you're not. You're just not. That's not how it works. There's a lot of attrition. There's a lot of sitting here and waiting a long time for these suckers to sell. You're competing with a lot of eyes, a lot of eyeballs. So it's if we can educate the people coming in, wanting to become vendors, wanting to sell stuff, no, you're not going to get these guys at a cheap price. And you got to understand that you're getting ripped off. You're buying from a bad source. If we can kind of get people to stop sourcing from, because we know the bad sources, or some of them, I should say. We know what some of the bad sources are. We've talked about them on the show. If we can get those people to stop using those bad sources for wholesale, then they're going to get out of the business altogether. Because by and large, on most of these big name talents, it's really not worth the amount of time and investment to make pennies on per unit over a long period of time. There's a big name talent who I'm not going to name, who we've done some work with in the past, some privates who we were offered another private fairly recently, and we looked at the margins and we looked at this talent's continuing rise in price, and we're like, no, how many years is it going to take us to turn a profit on this signing? You know, and that's something that if you don't, you gotta do that math. If you're going to start in this hobby, you're going to start this business, do the math. How many years is it going to take me to make a profit on the signing? And then, so if you're a wannabe or I shouldn't say that, an aspiring vendor, that's the word. Really think about that. Really think about that. That you shouldn't be sourcing from strangers. You shouldn't be sourcing from these places.
And let me talk about source for a second. And honestly, this is something I wasn't even sure if I was going to get into. Like you know, when I was thinking about the talking points for today, but I'm going to get into it now because the whole thing is absurd. You have people out there, you know, good collectors that, you know, that they'll look around, they try to buy things and they'll look, as we talked about, they look for a better price. Like they treat it sort of like a Target versus Walmart versus Amazon thing. Oh, my toothbrush broke. Let me go on these 3 apps and see which has the better value, the better sale, the better savings, whatever. Fine. You want to live that way for that stuff? I'm doing that too. Perfect. But here's the deal. And I'm gonna be a little bit descriptive here. You have Mike Mitchell did a big-time private signing with Jacob Fatu. I'm not going to get into his business, but he has a very good relationship with Fatu dating back to his pre-WWE days. So he's sort of like the Fatu pipeline. So someone I know bought an autograph of Fatu from someone else. And this other person, who I frankly never heard of, it's, you know, taking forever to ship, different things. And at the end of the day, and here's the point of it all. Don't, if you know, and you know, not everyone knows everything, but when you see, if you as a consumer, if you know that, you know, Mitchell is the Fatu source, just buy it from Mitchell. Mitchell's prices are great. Like, there's no reason to go from reseller number 7 who has stuff from him, because then you're worrying if somehow it's some weird forgery, or they ship it like crap, or they take forever to ship it, or they don't ship it at all and they try to steal your money, or whatever. Or even if it goes well, like, stop going. You're not doing Target versus Amazon. You're doing Target versus Craigslist listing. Like, that's basically what it is. You're dealing with, in a lot of cases, just a rinky-dink Looney Tunes operation it doesn't go well. And even me sticking my toe in this water to try to help my friend and talk to Mike to make sure everything went well, that guy who ended up buying it from Mike to sell to my friend got all bent out of shape, messaging me like, why are you asking about my stock? Like, the whole thing was ridiculous. I talk to both of these people regularly, and I was just looking out for my friend. So just please, and buy from the source. Stop with the reseller stuff. That's why, if you notice, we do things like our flare prints. Fitterman doesn't have our flare prints because they're stuff that's unique to us. If we had the same print Fitterman had, I would be the first to tell you, buy it from Fitterman. Why would you buy it from us? It would make no sense. We have something unique. Why would you buy Brad Baylor from someone else when we have 75 different images? Like, we are the Brad Baylor pipeline at this point, and many other up-and-comers. Focus on sources. Stop trying to find a $5 discount from some reseller.
Well, yeah, it was like the guy last week or the week before, whatever it was, who was trying to ask us to come down on Mercedes Monet because he wanted to buy something cheaper than High Spots.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
We will never. If I beat High Spots price, I made a mistake, and I'm losing money on that sale. I do not want to beat High Spots price because I can't beat High Spots price. If we beat High Spots price, we are done. So when you see anyone out there, I don't care who it is, if anything they're selling is cheaper than High Spots would sell it, and it's not accidental that they're doing this routinely and regularly, no one's got a better deal than High Spots because they're dealing in large numbers. I know this for a fact. They deal in the largest of numbers that you can think of besides Big Event. Big Event and High Spots are the ones that on a bulk level deal in huge numbers. The other vendors don't. They deal higher than us, but not as high as that. So you're not beating High Spots. If you're a buyer looking for the best price, go to High Spots. If you are a seller and you think you're going to beat High Spots, you're not. And if you are, it's fake, and that's why you're able to.
It's fake, or the person is just losing money, which also happens sometimes because people are whatever.
But you can tell when someone's just abandoning ship and losing money versus when someone is sort of just reveling in the sale on a regular basis over and over and over again. No one's that generous. We don't have Santa Claus in the hobby. I know a lot of the vendors out there may be shaped like Santa Claus, but they are not Santa Claus. We're not giving away pieces for free. This is not Christmas. We're not coming down your chimney. None of this is happening. We're trying to make money, and that's the reality. So if someone's giving something away that seems way too low, it's fake.
Wow. Okay. So I think that'll put, at least for the next couple shows, this to bed, unless, of course, something changes and then something comes up in the next couple days. But we'll get back to our regularly scheduled topics, and then we'll definitely pop in when we hear additional information about the stories that we've talked about so far, and also additional counterfeiters that we come across. But we'll this is not going to be the whole purpose of every single show. So what's coming up for us? Yeah. So we're getting ready for Fan Expo Philly. I made a sale.
I bought all my tickets finally. I bought all my tickets.
I made a sale of somehow they'll be delivering in hand at Fan Expo Philly. So I'll put a couple bucks in my pocket when I walk in the door.
And listen, next week we got to finally tell the story of your Cena item. I don't want to do it now because we're running long. But I forgot. Yeah, we keep forgetting. But anyway, I finally bought my tickets. Spent a little more than I wanted to. I'm doing multiple Mel items. I pulled the trigger on that. So
yes, and I may have to just buy something and send it through with you, but we'll discuss. Let's see. I'm going to do Kelsey Grammer at Bookends this week, so feel free to say hello. I will be there. Probably
DM you.
No, just no. It's not necessary. It's
unless definitely don't.
Unless you want to buy something. If you want to buy something, please DM. Please.
But wait, can they Facebook video call you if they want to buy something? Will you answer that call?
No. But no, feel free to say hello. I love it. I get a huge kick out of it. And if you want to buy something, then absolutely reach out. I'm happy to sell anything. Family members, organs, whatever. Of course, stuff from the hobby as well. So I'll see y'all at Kelsey Grammer. I've already promised to mention that you're gonna be seeing Ice Cube in September. I'll mention it every single show until then. So that's fun. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. And we've announced this a couple times already, but we're going to have a bunch of talents that we're going to be doing signings with at PWJ Damaged Goods 2 on July 27th in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. So you should check out that show first of all, but we have lots of items and lots of prints. We're taking mail-ins. We're selling. Really, Dana, you outdid yourself. Some of these prints are insane. We just put another order in yesterday or today for more prints.
Yeah, the prints are coming. We got a lot. Thank you for the compliment on the prints. I absolutely love a lot of them that I did for this. I'm excited to see them signed. And as you guys know,
I'm trying to think of what I want Jackson Drake to write on my poster. So it should be good.
We're gonna have Horowitz.
Yeah. So we're gonna we have Zeta Steele, we have Marcus Mathers, Jackson Drake, Smiley Cali Ray, all ID talents, all continuing to tear it up on Evolve. By the way, I finally got around to seeing that Marcus Mathers Sam Holloway match from the ID tournament in Vegas. They were phenomenal. They stole the whole show completely.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
I gotta say though, Sam's new look is awesome. At some point we got to get together with Sam again and do some new prints, because that new look is, I think, going to push him to that next level.
I mean, Sam is a beast. I don't see a world in which Sam does not become world champion of a promotion. That he just has these gifts, these incredible physical gifts. So I'm excited. But anyway, we still, because the tables haven't gone on sale yet, we will have a table at WrestleCon for SummerSlam in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where we'll have some talents making their first ever con appearance, which we're very excited about, but we can't announce them until we get the table booked. So I guess hopefully that happens this week or very soon, because frankly it's only 3 months away. So we need that to happen. And we're excited to do that. So you ready to be? This is a long show, dude. It was like 2 hours.
Yeah, man. Listen, we waged multiple wars.
Yeah, and you're gonna get in trouble because you haven't even cooked dinner yet.
I know. My wife is sitting in the kitchen right now, waiting for me to go outside and barbecue. And it's after 10 p.m., so I'm gonna be barbecuing at night. Oh,
it's not good. It's not a good scene. But
I haven't gotten a text in like 2 hours here, in the whole run of the show. So she's either seething, mad, or highly understanding. So I'm gonna hope for the latter.
All right. So for markedout.com, mark.collectibles, mark.radio, I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we will talk to you next week with episode 45.